welcome to a conversation with Sushmita Dev. She is the All India Mahila Congress Chief and also a Lok Sabha MP and someone who's very active within the Congress. Sushmita, welcome to NewsX, and also with the conversation we are having, I think the first conversation ever since COVID time. So hope you're keeping well and everything is fine.
Thanks, Priya. Well, I did test positive, but I was asymptomatic. I'm fit and fighting fit and ready for your questions.
We are in the right frame of mind. So I'll begin with my very first question, which is actually to take your fighting metaphor forward about the civil war within the Congress. So that's what the media is calling it. There seems to be, Sushmita, that there is a difference of opinion between two generations of Congress, or Rahul loyalists, Sonia loyalists, those who are in the UPA government versus those who are with Team Rahul. And you are very firmly placed in Team Rahul, as I see it from where I stand. People are saying that you're part of Rahul's coterie also.
See, Priya, I think what emerged in the last 10 days or so, I don't think it's right to call it a civil war. It was a meeting in which Congress president wanted to hear everybody out. Everybody said what they had to. I was not a part of that meeting, neither am I privy to exactly who said what. So on an internal forum, different people have different views, and I think that's everybody's democratic right in the party to speak your mind, and Mrs. Gandhi has always allowed that. Contrary to popular belief that there is no internal democracy in the Congress, it's not true. I'm a member of the CWC. I have been a party to many in strategic meetings. She had made a core committee earlier also. And I think we all speak our mind as equal and as members of the same team. So I think to call it a civil war is misinterpreting the fact that everybody has a voice in this party, and it's the democratic way to run a party. That's what I think.
Let's take the meeting that you're talking about. This was a meeting of the Congress Rajya Sabha MPs, I guess, to decide the party strategy. But over there, we are told that some of them, especially Rajiv Sattav, who's very close to Rahul also, and he's, he raised an issue about trying to look, need for introspection. And he said introspection should begin perhaps with the UPA years. Now, the UPA years are long back, 6 years ago. Is it and this is what has taken a lot of party people have taken umbrage to that. We have Manish Tiwari, Shashi Tharoor, Milind Deora, a lot of people from the UPA years, Anand Sharma, who have, taken issue with this, saying that why do you want to begin? Why do you want to even assume that things went wrong in UPA? They're saying you're giving BJP some issue on a platter. Why go? Wasn't that time 2014? Now, why you want to go back to the UPA years is something that everybody is trying to figure out. Is there an agenda behind this charge?
See, Priya, cost of repeating myself. I was not in that meeting, so I can't really say who said what. I read the media reports like probably you did. See, this whole thing, let me ask you a question. You took 3 names. You said Milind Deora, Manish Tiwari, Shashi Tharoor. Now, according to you, are they old guard or young guard? What are they according to you?
Shashi Tharoor, I know, will definitely take umbrage if I called him old guard. Milind and Manish might not mind so much.
So the thing is, Manish Tiwari is a young Congress leader. Milind is a young Congress leader. You definitely can't call Dr. Tharoor a veteran Congress leader. So first of all, this whole old versus young, that argument fails because of the example I gave you. Okay, so I consider them fairly young. Anand Sharma ji is very, very senior. And the second thing is, I think what Sattav ji clarified is, he definitely did not say anything against the policies of the Congress. See, we have consistently maintained that you spoke about Corona. Now think about it, whether it's the Food Security Act, whether it is the NREGS, whether it's the Right to Information Act when it comes to the PM Care Funds. These are the policies that are today saving the nation from a catastrophic impact that the pandemic could have had. It's a foregone conclusion. We've all tweeted about it. We've all spoken about it. So I don't think there is anyone in the Congress party who holds that everything that the UPA did was 100% correct, or that UPA did nothing that helped the country. So I think the whole thing was misinterpreted. It was reported in the media, but I do feel that it's a great disservice to the party that when Congress president opens the door and wants to have a discussion, that what was discussed within the party should go to the newspaper. That's the part that worries me after every Congress Working Committee meeting or every internal meeting. That part is worrying. But let me make it crystal clear that we all believe that if anything, the Corona period, the pandemic era has proved that Congress policies have today rescued the people of India in many ways. And I don't think there's any disagreement on that.
So wouldn't that have been a better way to phrase it? When you're talking about introspection, you are saying UPA should be an introspection. That means obviously he doesn't want to introspect what went right. He wants to introspect on what went wrong.
See, I again say I don't know what happened in that, but the thing is that I don't think introspection is a bad thing for anybody. No matter how senior you are, no matter how young you are, or no matter, even if you're sitting in the highest position, if anybody asks anybody to introspect, it doesn't necessarily mean, to my mind, that it means that you are belittling the achievement, anyone's achievement. And I think right now the air has been cleared, and I think we should just let it be. And in fact, the way I read it, I didn't read it like a civil war at all. And this is something that was thrashed out in the meeting itself. It just started, it sparked a controversy after the papers reported whatever they did. And I think it was very quickly put to rest. And I again say that I feel very proud of the fact that we all speak our minds in the internal party meetings, and there is no doubt about that.
That definitely is a plus, I think, where it's concerned. But also why this issue became a talking point is that it was not A, reported, B, other congressmen reacted to it. You know, your whatever said and done, Manish, Milind, Shashi Tharoor, Anand Sharma, all very senior in terms of rank. They hold a high rank in the party. They're not just anybody. They're people who have a voice who are reacting and feeling hurt and upset by the allegations or what was supposedly said.
See, if a colleague of mine is hurt by what I said, or reads something in the papers and believes that doesn't agree with it, they also have the right to disagree with what I said. But what emerged by the end of that day, when everybody was tweeting, is that everybody was on the same page. Nobody was criticizing the policies of the UPA. Today, see, Priya, it's very simple that there was a meeting in Gujarat in which Rahul Gandhi ji was speaking, and I think all of you covered it. He straightaway said that if we have made any mistakes during the UPA time, we promise to rectify it. And you see, life is a learning process, no matter how senior you are or how junior you are. But I can tell you for sure that not a single one of us can question the integrity of Dr. Manmohan Singh and his achievements. And it has been proved time and time again that the UPA policies under Sonia Gandhi ji have been pro-people, and it's proved beyond doubt during the Corona times. That's what I feel.
Okay. There's also the other issue, you know, you spoke of one meeting. There was also a working committee meeting which was again reported, but you were part of that, where Rahul Gandhi had differences with other leaders saying that, you know, you people are not taking the Modi government strongly enough. I think the attack on China was discussed also. And you spoke in favor of Rahul. Again, we were told there was a coordinated chorus from Rahul's coterie. I mean, I'm putting it in inverted commas because I know you'll react. But you, Venugopal, Surjewala, Rajiv, I don't know if he's part of this thing. But 4-5 of you did react to what Rahul is saying. So is there a orchestrated chorus going on between you guys?
See, Priya, I'll tell you something that generally what goes on in the CWC shouldn't be spoken about outside, because it's an internal forum, it's the highest body. So people who go out and speak about it, once again, I'm saying it's very disheartening to see things like that. But I can tell you something, that when a CWC happens, I can speak for myself, that I don't think I've ever got a call from anybody to say, look, this is what you're expected to say, or this is what you must not say. It's a very free and fair forum where we all speak. Sometimes many people end up not speaking because they may not feel the need to speak. Like I saw some paper writing that Mrs. Gandhi prompted me,
Right.
and therefore you jump to the conclusion that this was all contrived. Not at all. It was almost 2-3 hours long, that meeting, and I hadn't spoken throughout because I'm there in my capacity as a frontal head. So I didn't think my intervention was required. But on a certain issue, I raised my hand. You see, and in a Zoom call, I was lucky that Mrs. Gandhi saw me raising my hand when there are 40-45 people, and maybe someone else did. So she simply pointed out that Sushmita's put up her hand, probably she wants to say something, because I had been quiet for the 2.5 hours meeting, and that's exactly what happened without revealing anything more. So see, it's very simple. If I believe in my leader, if I believe a party should take a certain strategy, I don't think it requires anybody's prompting. And at the conclusion of a meeting, my strategy may get overruled by the others, and I may not succeed in impressing upon my party to take that strategy, but that's also fine. Because obviously, what most of the people feel generally happens at the end of the CWC. So I can tell you something, this creates a divide by saying, oh, there's Rahul's team, oh, there's Sonia Ji's team. I have never felt it. I have an excellent relationship with all senior leaders. I have an excellent equation with Anand Sharma ji, Mr. Chidambaram, Venugopal ji, Ahmed Patel ji. I have never gone to any leader and felt that someone is treating me differently because they believe I am part of some coterie. And you use that word, quote unquote. See,
You would react to that.
I'm of Rahul Gandhi ji and Sonia ji as a leader. They have space for everybody and everybody's views. In fact, Rahul Gandhi ji is very, very equidistant. I am delving on Rahul Gandhi ji's style of functioning because obviously I've worked with him for a longer period than I have with Sonia Gandhi ji, and he's pretty equidistant to most people. There is space for everyone's view. He may not agree with everyone, but I have never felt that I have found favor with him because I am his coterie. I mean, he has also disagreed with me on many times. So he's pretty equidistant. I mean, once he told me, Congress is like an ocean, there's space for everybody. So, don't worry. If I give someone something, doesn't mean that I'm angry with somebody else and that person doesn't matter to me. But yes, you have to accommodate many conflicting ambitions, aspirations, which are bound to be in conflict with each other. That's the nature of the beast, And a leader tries his or her best to balance everyone's interests. And that's in any party is what I think.
Fair enough. So what is going to happen now, Sushmita? Because there is, as we all know, Sonia Gandhi is there as an interim president. That's what party chief, that's what we are told. And her term her 1 year finishes on August 10th. So is she going to continue? Is Rahul Gandhi going to step in? Or are we going to take his word seriously? And is the Congress going to be looking for a non-Gandhi to lead?
See, first of all, I can't say this is going to happen or that is going to happen. But the same meeting that you're talking about of Rajya Sabha MPs or the Congress Working Committee, one thing is unanimous, that if Rahul Gandhi ji decides to come back as the Congress president, we are all unanimous that we will, it's acceptable to all of us. And then there is the AICC constitution. There are certain procedural things that have to be followed. And I believe that those will be followed. Things are a little unpredictable right now because of the pandemic. It's very difficult to have a big AICC convention. It's because it's a process that starts right from our blocks and district level, comes to the state level, and then comes to the center. So that's the uncertainty that we are facing. But I'm sure that it will be decided soon in which direction we are going to go. But it's not business as usual because of the pandemic and the way it's spreading. So that's the part that's uncertain. So let's see what we decide.
Okay, a little before I had a chat with Manish Tiwari, that interview is still to be aired. So, but basically what a couple of things that he raised with me. One is, of course, he also spoke of the need for a viable opposition. And I think what he didn't say, but I can infer from his words, is that there is a feeling that the Congress is not really living up to it. The government is messing up on a whole lot of fronts, but the Congress still has to get its leadership script together. So yes, it is COVID times, but shouldn't the Congress push for this AICC meeting or however you want to do it and get that election process with sooner rather than later?
See, the way I look at it, if you look at the track record of the Congress, let's start from the economic crisis that hit the country before the pandemic. If any party is talking about unemployment or the economic crisis followed by the pandemic, it is the Congress. Okay, I know you are a media person, but the general impression sometimes that people have that Congress is not doing enough, to my view, is because the coverage, it's the lack of coverage that we get, more often than not, especially on television channels. So it's like, if
that is something you and Manish are going to agree on. He said the same thing very interestingly.
Yeah, the thing, see, Priya, what happens is, every ordinary citizen can't in a very micro manner follow everything a party is doing. So they rely a lot on the media to see what's happening in the country or which party is doing what. And I think it goes without saying that we are struggling for our visibility on the media, whatever those reasons are. And the other thing is, I would like to say that there are some anchors and there are some shows who do give us visibility. But if you look at the general trend is totally tilted towards the government. Whereas the trend during the UPA time used to be that it was always giving more visibility to the opposition. In a democracy, that's the way, it should be. So we are fighting against a lot of odds, because of which our visibility is less, and that is the genesis of the problem, that people are under the impression that Congress is not doing enough. If I am protesting somewhere and if you're not going to show it to me, my visibility is only those 400-500 people who are walking on the side of the road while I'm protesting, unless you cover it on the media. So it's not in vain that they say that media is one of the very important pillars of democracy. So I feel, historically, when you look back at this period, no one can deny that opposition overall has got a unfair deal when it comes to the media, and I feel that all the time.
I grant you, I'll grant you a lot, because what you said, there is some merit in what you've said. But having said that, Sushmita, for instance, Kejriwal, when he picked up an issue against Modi, the Delhi elections, he was given a lot of space. So those we feel, who are speaking up and are doing things are being given space. Yes, the government is getting more than the opposition. I will not fight you on that. But there are other opposition leaders who, when they say things, when Mamata Banerjee is getting space, Kejriwal is, Rahul Gandhi, he's saying all the right things. He was the first to talk on the economy. He was the first to raise the alarm on China, on COVID. But the fact is, I find that, when he says things, what he lacks, Sushmita, is credibility. He's not getting enough takers from the public also, forget the media.
You see, no one in this country can disagree with what Rahul Gandhi is saying on every issue, like you said yourself. Whether it's COVID, whether it's China, whether it's unemployment, whether it's economy. But the question I think you are indirectly asking me is that why are people not tilting towards the Congress? That's what you're asking, despite the fact that Rahul Gandhi is saying.
Why is Rahul not clicking?
So the thing is, I feel that in the last election, however the results may have been, whoever voted for the Congress, the 12 crore plus votes that we got, knew that the leader that Congress is projecting or is going to project if they win will be Rahul Gandhi, and of course alliances would have had some say in it. Now, the question is, what is it we are losing to? Assuming what you're saying is correct, what is it that we are losing out to? Look, I feel we are not just fighting a party. We are fighting a party which is consistently riding the wave of communal politics. Okay, so when it comes to a communal feeling and polarization, it becomes very difficult for a party like Congress to press on development issues because people get emotionally swayed in a polarized society. The second thing is, yes, we are losing to a machinery that the BJP runs, what we sarcastically call WhatsApp university, and the kind of propaganda that is used to make Rahul Gandhi ji, look like he doesn't know what he's saying. So the question is, we definitely need to gear up better when it comes to fighting that machinery. But the problem is that there is a worldwide trend, I feel, where people are tilting more towards the right. And Narendra Modi ji and his party cannot deny that come election, they go to the far right, and polarization is their strongest tool that they use. It has been a long fight, 6 long years, but I think that there will be a time when poverty, hunger, unemployment, foreign policy will matter more to the people. Like in Hindi में एक कहावत है कि काट की हांडी बार बार नहीं चढ़ती. You see, Priya, I've seen you. You know MPs across party lines. Now put your hand on the heart. There are so many BJP MPs who come and say, "इतने सारे वोट कहाँ से आए?" They don't know how they've won. You see, they can't explain the margins of 2 lakhs lead and 3 lakhs lead. That's because I feel it is the way the BJP polarizes the society. But what I think is Congress is crystal clear that they are going to fight every election on the basis of policies. We stand by issues like good governance. We want to fight against poverty. We want to fight against unemployment. We want to ensure the country has a good foreign policy. You see, सच्चाई का रास्ता थोड़ा लंबा होता है. It is very easy to take those shortcuts and come back into power. But I think no one can disagree that Rahul Gandhi's convictions have never faltered. He stands by what he says, and he continues to say what he thinks is right for the country. I'll give you a small example. In his resignation letter, many journalists highlight the fact that he said, "Oh, I was alone and no one was with me." But what stood out to me in that letter is saying he said, "I love my country and I will keep speaking whatever I think is in the country's interest." But I think the cookie is crumbling, and if what Manish Tiwari ji said, that we need to be more aggressive when it comes to opposing Narendra Modi, and that's what we all concluded in the last CWC that you're talking about, that we have to be more aggressive. You see, some people say, "Oh, why do you keep saying Modi this and Modi that?" There is that counter argument that we face. But the question is, this is a government that is lesser known as the NDA government. It is known as Modi Sarkar. Their entire campaign was एक बार फिर whatever Modi Sarkar, अब की बार Modi Sarkar. So, like I said, they have made it about Modi. So unless you chip away at Narendra Modi's credibility or the lacunas and limitations of his policy making, there is no other way to overcome this, this government or this party. And sometimes I also feel that BJP goes to any level. There's nothing the Bharatiya Janata Party can't do when it comes to a malicious campaign against Rahul Gandhi. And our leaders consistently tell us that we cannot fall below a certain standard.
But also because
You know,
Rahul Gandhi also hasn't made up his mind. Is he here to stay? Is he a politician, or is he wants to give me competition and become a television anchor, or is he going to be leading the Congress? Can he decide what he wants to? And then I think his party leaders workers will also support him.
see, Priya, I'll tell you something that it is. I think it is unique that a Congress president of a national party who is unanimously selected, and I think it is quite clear that no one would have asked him to steps down, taking accountability for a defeat. It takes a lot of courage to do that, and Rahul Gandhi did it. It's very rare to see this. I mean, I don't think any other leader does it so easily. So the question is, he felt it was the right thing to do to step down as the Congress president and take responsibility. Now the question is, we want him to come back. Whether he will come back or no, of course, has to be his decision. But does it mean that as a member of parliament and as a leader of the Congress party, that he should stop acting in any capacity, that he should stop speaking, that he should stop tweeting? Not at all. So the thing is, he said, I'm taking responsibility for the defeat in the Lok Sabha election. I'm stepping down. Now, can we go and tell him that, no, you can't speak at all now that you stepped down? No, we cannot. So the question is, the conflict is us saying come back and he not coming back because he stepped down only 1 year back as the Congress president. So he's right in his place, and I think we are right in our place. So the thing is, there is no confusion there. And you see, Priya, I'll tell you something that you use the word that whether he wants to be an anchor or what is it he wants to be. See, Rahul Gandhi ji believes in conversations. You see, sometimes people don't realize that Prime Minister Modi doesn't have a dialogue. He's in constant monologue basis. Why you don't realize is because he's constantly on the TV. So he has so much of visibility otherwise that you actually get fooled into thinking that Prime Minister is talking to you, but actually Prime Minister is talking to nobody. And so, but Rahul Gandhi, on the contrary, may have lesser visibility on television, but is far more engaging with people at different levels. And I think in a democracy, that's a strength. I mean, that's my view. You may agree with me or you may not agree with me. So when he talks to a Mr. Bajaj or he talks to any expert, medical expert or anybody, it is about raising an important issue, engaging on an important issue. I mean, I wouldn't relegate it to an anchor's job. I mean, that's not the way I look at it. I look at it as if he's raising the issues that matter to the country right now. That's the way I view it.
You assured me of my job security at least. But thank you, Sushmita, for this conversation. We're totally out of time.
Having me.
Appreciate this. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Priya.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.